Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, your go-to podcast for all things green and growing. I'm Ben, your allotment guide, and here to help you cultivate your garden and your passion for plants. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting out, this podcast is for you. Each episode will dig into tips, tricks and techniques to make your garden and allotment thrive. From planting, sowing and growing, we will share all the tips and advice. We will also have regular episodes talking about what we have been up to on the allotment. So sit back, grab a brew and enjoy today's episode. Hey everyone and welcome back to Gardening with Ben for another brand new episode. I hope these podcasts are sounding a lot more better and no more noisy police or ambulances driving up and down the road like they always were since I've moved into my new flat, and I hope that you're all enjoying that the podcasts are back. We've been concentrating this week on talking about all the plants that you can plant this month, all the jobs which need doing in the fruit, vegetable and flower gardens, and also in yesterday's episode we talked about the jobs which need doing in the sheds and the polytunnels. Well, today's podcast episode we're going to be talking about my allotment journey, how my allotment journey's been. Has it been a good journey? Has it not been a good journey? Well, we're going to talk about all that in this episode. And why not? We need to start off with a Christmas joke for you all. So today's Christmas joke is, why did the Brussels sprout bring a shovel to the Christmas party? Why did the Brussels sprout bring a shovel to the Christmas party? Because it wanted to dig the vibe. It wanted to dig the vibe. Trust me, these jokes get a lot better. Or worse, should I say. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying all these Christmas jokes that we're sharing with you on a regular basis. If you're not following us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and YouTube, make sure you give us a follow. Just search for Gardening with Ben and you'll be able to follow us and see up-to-date videos. So yeah, we're going to talk about my allotment journey. And to say that I'm 39 years old, it has been a long allotment journey in my lifetime. To say, like, a lot of people would just be getting into allotmenting at my age now. People think, oh, it's not cool to allotment when you're young and meant to be going out and everything like that. But times are changing and younger people are getting into growing their own produce, which is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love it. And this is why we do these podcasts, to encourage more and more people to get involved in doing it. So I started my allotment journey back when I was 14 or 15 years old. And what it was is that in my local area, there was this allotment site. There was one person left on the allotment site. All the rest of them had gone derelict. They'd overgrown. And yeah, the council was saying, if we can't get them back up and running again, we're going to get rid of them because nobody's using them. It's a waste of land. You know how it all is. So the local community formed a group and the council cleared them all and they managed to rent them all out. And they got funding for the allotment site to get roads put in, standpipes put in so that there were water on site, which is a key benefit if you're looking for an allotment. Always look for a site that's got water on it. Yes, you might be able to catch some in winter when it rains, but you'll soon run out of water. Trust me, we've had heat waves in the past and I know people have struggled with getting water to the allotment site. So always look for water. So yeah, I then started helping my dad on his allotment because my dad was part of the organisation. He had an allotment and I used to go and help my dad garden on his allotment and I absolutely loved it. And obviously tasting all the vegetables that you were growing were fantastic. So when I turned 18, I thought, why am I helping my dad do his allotment when I can have my own allotment now? I'm old enough, I'm allowed to have one. And I was still living with my parents. And I often used to think, I just need to get out of the house and just be away. You know what I mean? You need your own space. So I applied to get my own allotment and I got it. And back then, obviously, allotments weren't trendy. back when I was 18, which is nearly 20 years ago. And they were no waiting lists for the allotment. So I got one straight away and got my own piece of land. And from then on, I've never looked back. All my friends used to say, Ben, why have you got an allotment at 18? You should be going out enjoying yourself. Why you got an allotment and you're sad? Basically, obviously, they called you names and stuff like that, saying like, why are you having an allotment at that age? And the best thing is that they're now contacting me, asking me for tips and advice on growing stuff. So it isn't sad after all, and I encourage more and more people to get into it. And like I say, it's getting a lot more trendier, and more people are wanting to. That's why there's these big waiting lists now, because everybody's wanting to do it. And a lot of times people post photos showing what they've produced, and people think, oh, that's an easy thing to do. Trust me, it's not. It's nearly a full-time job growing fruit and vegetables. I don't know how I'm going to manage on 2 days a week now going to my allotment, because it is a lot of hard work. And yeah, I started off with my allotment. I got a greenhouse from somebody else down at the allotment site, but I had to go to his house to get it because it was his house. And unfortunately, it was that rusty. We managed to get the glass out, but we couldn't get the frame apart. So me and my dad ended up walking about 1.5 miles with a greenhouse frame. That wasn't pleasant at all. And that has to be one of my biggest regrets, getting a greenhouse, because obviously I'm 6'5". I struggled to be in it. Yes, it was good to start off with, but obviously the glass breaks, it smashes, pieces fall out, and there was glass everywhere and stuff like that. So I don't always recommend getting a glass greenhouse on an allotment site. I'd recommend either a plastic one or building your own like I have done now. So we started off with that. Then we got I organised my plot. I got some fruit trees. I started off with a cherry tree, a plum tree, a nectarine tree, and a cooking apple tree. And my cooking apple tree and my plum tree is still there to this day. They're still growing fantastic. My nectarine tree never did anything, so I chopped that down. Same with my cherry, that never did anything, so I got rid of that as well. And since then, we've now got 2 more apple trees, eating apple trees. We've also got 2 pear trees, which do absolutely fantastic, as well as the eating apples. They do fantastic as well. And 2 years ago, I planted 2 more plum trees because my plum tree's struggling a bit these days. And last year was absolutely terrible. It like literally half died off when it was growing. So I don't know what happened to it last year. So hopefully these new 2 plum trees will do fantastic down at my allotment. And these are Victoria plum trees. They're absolutely gorgeous. So if you're looking at plum trees, get a Victoria plum because it's absolutely delicious. I then planted some rhubarb, which I've still got down there to this day. I've got about 16 crowns of that now, because over the time I've cleared the area and dug it all up and split the crowns, replanted them, and got more rhubarb plants growing down there. We've also obviously got strawberries, which are originals from the beginning of my plot. Every year I keep taking the runners off and replanting them and getting new plants and sharing them with other people on the site as well. So my strawberry plants are all over the allotment site. We've also got our blackberries. We've got raspberries. Raspberries have been in there from the start as well. They've been doing absolutely fantastic. Year after year they grow and they get fantastic produce on. So I've still got some of my same stuff what I've had down there since I started, like when I was 18. And obviously we've got a polytunnel which has been up about 16 years. That cost me £500 when I bought it, but it's a 20-foot polytunnel, I think it is, or 25 foot by about 15 foot wide. So it's a decent sized polytunnel. But like I said, it cost £500, but it was a brilliant investment. And it's ideal for growing stuff in there in the winter. Obviously, all your tomatoes, your cucumbers and stuff like that. I've messed around with irrigation over the years. Self-irrigation, which has worked fantastic when I've got it all set up, working. So yeah, it's been a fantastic experience. And I started blogging probably about 7 years ago or so. And that was just sharing pictures and little videos of what I was getting up to. Blogging weren't a massive thing back then. And I was just sharing tips and advice of what I was doing. And basically keeping a diary of what I had planted, where and how I'd planted it and what did well and stuff like that, just for my own purpose. Little did I know that people would actually start following me. And then I started building like an audience up on Facebook. It all started on Facebook to start off with. I started building a little audience. People were getting involved. They were interacting. They were enjoying it. And I thought, yes, I'm loving this. I'm actually loving talking to everybody and sharing what I'm getting up to. And suddenly I'm at like 20,000 followers on Facebook. I can't believe it. And then I obviously started doing stuff on Instagram as well, sharing pictures on there. And obviously I do my YouTube videos as well now on there. My first ever YouTube video on my YouTube channel, I don't know if you can find it. You can usually sort them by age. And it's when I actually first built my shed. And yeah, the shed's still standing from when I built that video. It's had a major revamp over the years, but the framework is still up and still standing, which is a bonus for me because you know what I'm like with building. I'm absolutely rubbish with it. And we didn't actually start live streaming till lockdown, because I thought people are enjoying what I'm doing. I'm going to go live and talk to people. But then I was scared, thinking, what if people ask me questions that I don't actually know about? Because I don't know everything about gardening. I've just learned what I've done myself, if you get me. I'm not a professional. I don't have a certificate to say that I'm a professional gardener. So I got started with that and I absolutely loved it, talking to people interacting with me on live. Obviously, I don't do my Facebook Lives anymore these days because I don't have time for it, because it takes about half an hour to do all that. So I have to crack on with my allotment these days. That's why I do a lot of my videos for you to watch that way. And over these years, I've learned so much, different methods, different ways of growing, different varieties, what work best in growing. And some years, like in my first few years, I was successful with so much stuff growing, and then after that, it failed, and I'm like, well, what have I done wrong? But that is gardening. One year you might be absolutely fantastic with growing something, and then a few years later, it might be absolutely rubbish, and you think, what am I doing wrong? But that's just the art of gardening. And one thing I've learned about gardening is never give up. Keep trying. And it's you get produce from it, but it's fun and it's enjoyable. And if something grows, success. If it doesn't, oh well, you just try again next year or in a few more months when it's a bit warmer. But it's all about having fun and enjoying it. And yes, it can be quite expensive. It's not as always as cheap as people say that it is to grow your own stuff. Some stuff's cheap to grow, but some stuff you might just be cheaper off buying at the supermarket. But it's the taste, you know, it's organic, it's fresh, and you know your hard work, time, and effort's gone into it. And that is what I absolutely love about gardening. So, over these 20 years of gardening, my allotment journey has been absolutely fantastic. The people that I've got to know through doing my social media and getting involved in my posts. Yes, I may not always reply back to posts and comments, but I do read them and I do love to see all the comments on the posts. If I replied back to every post and comment, it would be a full-time job. And unfortunately, this podcast doesn't pay for that. If we get millions of people listening to this podcast, then maybe we can retire and do it full-time. Hint, hint, share. But yeah, I absolutely love it. And I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'm going to keep on doing these podcasts, keep on doing the live, the videos for you to watch, the photos that I share, the little Christmas jokes and stuff like that. I absolutely love doing it all and finding new stuff for you to listen to and to watch. So if you've ever got anything that you want me to talk about or think that I'd do well on the podcast or on my videos or on posts, please let me know. You can always message me on Instagram. I'm always a message away. So I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. If you're not following us on these podcasts, please do give us a follow. Click the bell to get the notification when the podcasts come up as well. And until next time, everyone, remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Gardening with Ben. I hope you have found some useful tips and inspiration for your own gardening and allotment journey. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a new episode. And if you have a moment, I'd love for you to leave a review and share the podcast with fellow gardening enthusiasts. Your support helps us grow this community and continue bringing you great content. You can also follow us on social media on every platform called Gardening with Ben for daily gardening tips and updates. Happy gardening, and until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep gardening with Ben.